And all right, we are live now. To
Greetings,
greetings, hello, hello,
salutations.
and welcome to the 42nd episode of the Hack Jack Show on a Friday night this time. For a while, I thought we were gonna be a Wednesday show, but our schedules are never consistent. There's one thing I can critique about our show. We have like such an inconsistent schedule.
True,
Yeah, but
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 it's the you can blame my manager about that since he refused to go to a doctor.
and so when my manager, because I remember I requested for a day off and I didn't get it.
So it worked out in the end for both of us with our inconveniences and scheduling.
Oh no, that was last week.
Oh,
No, this week. No, I just been like in no like in fairness, he's been actually giving me more hours, so I do appreciate him for that. It's just that of course that's less time for the channel. That's all.
true.
So at the very least, I'm getting at very least I think I got actually a good. I got paid today, and it's actually a decent pay I've had in a while. A really decent pay. All right, let me just make sure. Let me spread the word around on my social media. There we go. We are live now. Ahora. Oh, by the way, Jack, you've been noticing I've been doing my evening streams.
No, because I haven't been on my computer for quite a while.
Ah, I see. Well, I've got a new show. It's called the Evening Stream at 10 a.m.
Ah, gotcha. Wait, 10 a.m. evening.
Yep.
10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
evening.
Yep.
Evening.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're using that correctly?
All right. So the title is a joke. All right. It's a very deep joke. So I recall I got to interact with one of my more recent subscribers that we got from the Little Devil stream,
Hmm.
and he mentioned how that, oh man, I wish I could go to your streams, but it's very late for me when you guys come on. And I'm like, okay, so this guy is obviously not from the states or from North America. And then I went to our analytics to
Hmm.
see what our stats. And if you go
Hmm.
to audience, you can
Hmm.
see that our top countries for people watching our stuff are obviously most of them are from the United States, but we got people from Denmark, Finland,
Ooh.
Hungary, and Malaysia.
Ooh.
Yeah, now they're probably just like one people from each of these different countries, but the fact remains that we do have a good number of people who, by the time we're asleep, they're awake, and vice versa. So, I decided to do the evening stream for essentially the our subscribers who are experiencing the evening at the hour that I am doing the streams, being 10 a.m. So it's the morning for me, but the evening for everyone outside of the United States.
Uh,
So there you go. And actually, um, it's the way I'm making this different is that unlike the chill stream or the show, I'm not so far I have not talked about anything geeky like at all. No comics, no video games, or anything like that. I've actually been
and what do you talk about?
music so far this week. I just mainly focusing on music, and I'm actually if you see like a little bit of the streams, I'm actually working on a song right now.
Bet you it's about love, isn't it?
There's no lyrics to it. Let's say it's a very classical inspired piece.
Ah, so it's definitely about love.
No, 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 no.
No,
It
it
does
will
have it
always
does
end
have
up
a
as
it
love.
does have a saxophone though, so
It will end up as love.
maybe maybe
It
lo-
it
maybe
will. Oh,
maybe love for your
wait,
neighbor, because I'm trying to do a thing, not to get too much into detail, but I'm trying to do a thing where this song, through the music, will have has a flute and a saxophone, and both of them are competing against each other to try to have the main melody, while each of them are like kind of either interrupting each other or quietly overtakes each other. So that's the kind of thing I'm trying to do with this piece. I haven't actually got a title for it yet, but that's what I've been working on the channel, so I can show off my progression for it.
It's love for your neighbor. You should probably name it the mailman.
Not, not that type of love. Not that type of love. Any case, with any case, proper introductions. I'm of course Hack. I'm of course I'm the beautiful and dumb Hack.
And I am your self-deprecating co-host, Jack.
Yes, and we're at episode 42 now. I don't know if you know the title or seen the tweet that I tagged you in, but guess
I
what
did.
today's topic's gonna be about?
Yeah, so is gameplay important or the story? So
You decide. Vote now in the comments. Open out in the chat. But
actually, there is a little way you can make people vote. You know that, right?
through the YouTube chat.
Yeah, or not YouTube chat, but like there's a little. Have you ever seen those videos where they have a little icon on the top right? It's like a little eye icon. You click on that, and people will actually vote from there if you set. I'm
You're
not sure
you're referring
if
to
you could. Yeah.
it's on
Go.
you're talking about it's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it an eye icon?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's available for live streams though. I mean, I would see, but let me. I actually don't know if that's okay for live streams. Maybe after the live stream. Yeah, that's a thing available for it.
Ah, okay. I see. Well, better than going to that strawberry site. No, straw
Oh
polls,
yeah,
straw polls, straw polls.
yeah.
Any,
Are you a little bit hungry there, Hack?
no, I ate a big meal. I ate some Whataburger after work
Ooh,
because I knew it was gonna be.
you gonna
Ah,
share?
no, no, I'm selfish. It's all for myself. Also, good evening, Blue or Azul, as I've been calling her. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. We're gonna have a heated discussion, but which matters more, gameplay or story? I say the fan service. No, I'm kidding. But no, we'll get to there when we get to there. But I actually want to show off, not show off, but just talk about the lesser stuff first. That's either more on the silly side or just mockery. It's pure
All
mockery.
right.
So first, the silly stuff. Number one, now one of the negative aspects of Jack is that he does not appreciate Mortal Kombat, right?
It's just the for me.
Yeah. So he doesn't appreciate it. But there is something he would appreciate because uh, did you know MK11 just got an expansion pack?
Cool.
There you go. I was waiting for like, okay, cool. But and so what they included in it was that a few new characters, the biggest one being RoboCop,
Mm-hmm.
but also then they added a new type of fatalities that hasn't been seen like in a long time. I think since
Oh yeah,
MK9.
friendships.
Yeah, the friendships. Now, first off, have you seen any of the friendships?
I seen the one. I think it was his name is Liu Kang, and
Oh,
his was like the train.
uh, the train. No, no, no. Liu Kang's the one he does disco dancing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you're thinking of Kung Lao. He's the one with the train.
yeah.
But no, but
Choo
I was watching. I believe it was early this no yesterday last night. I was watching a Maximilian Dude video, and it was him like rating all the friendships, and I found the one that to me, Jack, is an 11 out of 10, a pure
Mm-hmm.
11 out of 10, and you'll see why. It has to do with the character Jax. So
Okay.
I'm gonna go. So I'm gonna put. So I'm gonna go ahead. Actually, first off, let me switch some screens here. There we go. You can see our little Discord chat. I'm gonna post the link onto the Discord so you can see it for yourself. And of course, I'll play the video in front. I'll play the video via the stream. So give me a second here.
Ready, Jack?
Pause that. Share. Copy. and paste. So there you go. And
Oh
now,
my god. I could tell it's already good.
yep. And now let me just switch some monitors here. Let me go full screen on this. Da, 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 da. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and show it off to the lovely folks, well, the lovely people in our chat.
Damn. You will never be able to do that.
Is that a challenge? Is that a
No,
challenge?
because no, it's literally impossible for you to do just because you don't got that same suave,
Oh,
that smoothness he has.
so you're saying I don't have no suave?
You have no soul.
Oh,
That he had soul into that.
oh. I have soul on the bottom of my shoes.
Shut up.
Yay!
You get a fun coin for that.
Yay! We haven't. That's that needs to be a running joke. The pun coin. There we go. So pun coin. I have now 2/100th of a pun coin.
Wait, what? I said an actual pun coin. That
Okay, Hack has one. Oops, one and one hundredth of pun coins. There we go.
yeah. I need to one day. If I ever wanted to, I should make it as a cryptocurrency.
It will be the greatest cryptocurrency ever. And of course, Blue in the chat. If you get a nice pun, put it in the chat and see if Jack will give you a pun coin. Be
I'm
warned.
looking in the chat already.
Be warned. Jack, he is a connoisseur of puns, so he knows a bad one when he sees it. All right. So yeah, so that was something little silly. There's tons of more silly ones of the friendships, but that one was the one I was like, yes, 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 yes. It was amazing. So there's that. And now for the more mocking stuff. So this has to deal with more on my side of the aisle, and Star Wars. To be very brief.
Okay,
So
which part? I mean, I'm slowly getting into that side too.
so I don't know if you come across this, but I'm gonna go ahead. All right, so I'm gonna show you an image from a recent Star Wars comic, and all it really is just another. Oh, hold on. We got a joke from Blue. This is what she says. What did the grape say when the elephant sat on it? What did
Oh,
she,
I see.
what did
What
it
did?
say, Blue? All right, and we'll get our answer soon. Let's see. Oh,
Ah,
nothing. He just lets out a little whine. That's pretty
you get
good.
one.
All right, there you go, Blue. You have one pun coin. Don't spit it all in one place. During my job, one of the shops that I delivered to, he literally paid for a part 2 cents over and told me there
Mhm.
is a tip. Even though my job doesn't require me to have tips,
Yes.
but let's say if it did, he thinks 2 cents is a good tip.
Hey, hey. He gave you his 2 cents on the matter.
Uh, okay. Any case,
Thank you for setting that up for me.
uh, all right.
That's one for me.
That is one for you. All right. So I'm gonna put an image on our Discord. Now here's the context. This is more of an art thing than any like Star Wars lore or anything like that. So what it is, I'm gonna show you what Luke Skywalker looks in a recent like comic adaptation of Return of the Jedi. And keep in mind that the comic, the way it's drawn, is meant to be for mainly be for uh not for more the children between like ages of 8 and 10.
All right.
That young audience. So I'm gonna go ahead, go here, and let me get that picture. Upload. So here's the photo in question. Okay, so it's just a panel of Luke speaking to
Mm-hmm.
Master Yoda during that scene in Dagobah early in the
Mm-hmm.
story. Now, so far, just looking at it, is there anything you kind of feel off about looking at this image of Luke?
Them luscious lips.
Yeah, those luscious lips, and you know what else? Look at his eyes.
Yeah, he has eyeliner.
Some big eyeliner there.
Some raccoon eyes.
And also, you also know what's funny? You see his
What?
hair? Is it me, or is it a bit Karen-y?
No, it looks more like Justin Bieber.
Nah, no, no, no. Justin Bieber's hair was
Yeah,
never like this.
yeah, his hair was like that when he was 16.
I don't remember as
Uh,
wavy. But in any case, the point is, oh, see, Blue knows where I'm about to head with this. So the point is, you could tell it's Luke, but it's oddly designed, especially the nose. That's a weird nose, in my opinion. And also, when you consider, remember how Luke in Jedi, his very like hair that he had, it should actually be much shorter,
yeah,
if be honest. But that's how they
it
drew
did.
him.
Hmm.
And of course, being Twitter, it got a lot of people were like, "What the heck is this? This is professional work. This is how Disney's gonna represent their one of their biggest characters." And so, a lot of Twitter artists went into kind of fixing up the image. And so here is one where a Twitter user, and I'll give her credit. So to say that, uh, did a few top shots without having to like do 80 drastic changes. So let me go ahead and
Keep
upload
I keep
this.
looking at that picture, and I'm trying to convince myself it's not a woman.
I know. So here is a re-edit done by someone on Twitter, and you tell me if this represents more Luke.
All right. Yeah, that's definitely a lot better.
Yeah.
Big, super big change. Oh my god. Putting them side by side, it's such a big change.
Mm-hmm. And this comes from and this comes from I'm s- the avatar is a girl, but there's no such thing as girls on the internet. So it comes from a Twitter user at Shin with an X, the Chinese Shin, and this is her re-edit. I'm assuming it's her. This is her re-edit, and just my I got like
It,
now doesn't the bad Luke really look like a woman now compared to like actual Luke over here?
oh my god, yes, it
Uh,
seriously does.
and all you could really tell that she did was number one, fix up the nose, get rid of the eyeliner, get rid of the big pouty lips. Give her
Oh,
get
do that in my ear again.
sorry, my bad. Give him an actual Adam's apple and fix the jawline a bit, and boom is Luke.
Yep,
Just professional work, professional work. So yeah, that was so I kept seeing that on my timeline. I'm like, this will be easy fodder, good easy fodder here.
yep.
And it's funny too because there's genuine talent when you really look and you realize how are you not like at a working at a ma- major studio or anything like that because you literally are better than the professionals. Oh well, he probably didn't have the right politics. You know what I'm saying? Blue says, I mean, Luke had a soft face if we're being 100% honest, so the jaw fix might have been overkill, but the line lips and eyeliner for sure had to go. Definitely. And if you notice, Blue, if you notice in the old look image, if you look at the necks, look at the necks. What's the big difference between the necks? This is also a question for you, Jack.
And yeah, there's definitely the neck lines that
But, but,
really
but what does
the
this neckline insinuate right here?
muscle and the Adam's apples like
There.
in the way.
Yeah, so typical male traits, which are not very well defined here. It just looks like a very slender neck, and not really a neck of at this point a of Luke as a Jedi Knight.
And really like the muscle is just really there because of the Adam's apple itself. It just gets in the Adam's apple always gets in the way.
hmm And of course, I'll always appreciate a heroic butt chin. I always appreciate heroic butt chin.
Yeah, we all need butt chins.
You need a butt chin, Blue. And you just don't know it yet.
We all need it. You get a butt chin. You
You
get a
get a
butt
butt
chin. You
chin.
in the
You get
back
a
get a.
butt chin. We all get butt chins. Everyone's Peter Griffin.
No, he gets. It's purely just balls.
Oh yeah, you're right. Those are just
They literally made a whole joke about that.
yeah, yeah. They're not no, they're not just balls. They're balls. Yeah, balls. I like saying it like that. Gotta go deep with it. All right. So that's all I have to show just for silly stuff. Now we come. This was a wrestling match. We just got the first two openers done. Now we come to the main event. Is the main event Triple H versus John Cena. Spoilers: John Cena wins. He always does.
Yeah, because you can't see him.
But Triple H is the game. It's a stupid thing. He's the game, whatever that means.
Yeah, but just remember, you're gonna see Triple H get levitated off, off the ropes and on the turnbuckle just to see
And then,
him get slammed by some invisible.
and then guess who slithers out of nowhere?
Randy.
Randy Orton coming with an RKO on Cena.
RKO out of nowhere.
Where? Oh man! All right, so now comes to the main topic. Now, I chose this because number one, number one, little backstage thing. There wasn't anything big newsworthy, so I was like, okay, this is a good week talk about talk about something. And
Mhm.
one of the videos I was watching that inspired this idea was was this video that I saw from a gentleman who I need to get his name right so I can give him proper credit. Um, let's see. Hold on. Oh, sorry, I have a bookmark. What am I doing? I got a lot of bookmarks. God dang it. No, that's not it. That's about rock music being irrelevant. There it is. So it was from so I come across this from a person on Twitter named at David V Stewart. He has his own YouTube channel with the same name, and he wrote a kind of like a very short blog, very short. Um,
Hold
pretty.
on, hold on. Sorry, I want to stop it just a bit because Blue just said something in chat, and I want your opinion.
Oh, okay.
What it says?
Question.
Question: Writing a short. Go ahead. You read it.
Okay. Question. Writing a short story comic, only 4 pages. Do you think I can get away with not showing the main character's face until page 2? Like, you still see him immediately, just not his face. Sorry, a little random, I know. That's no problem, Blue, and thank you, Jack, for bringing it to my attention. Sorry to... I might have two monitors, but I can't see everything at once. Um, to, well, I'll say this on mine, Blue. I can only give my opinion as just someone who's a reader, not a professional comic artist. So take it as you can. Take it as you will. But um, I'll only say do that if there's a purpose to it. Like if there's a purpose for hiding your main character's face. Is it some sort? If it's a short story. If this is a short story with only 4 pages, you have very limited time and space to build on your main character, especially since the reader can't see what the main character looks like. If that is an integral part that you need to build that suspense for it, then go ahead. If you don't have that, then either A, save the idea for a later story for a different character you want to do that with, or implement it now since you're still in the early stages. The only because the only time you should really like try to hide something from the audience that the audience needs to know to get proper information is when you're trying to do proper build up and suspense. To give you a film example, a film example. Like I said, I'm looking over my collections. Looking over my collections right now. The first Indiana Jones movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. When you watch like the first 10, 15 minutes, you actually don't get a clear look at Indiana Jones' face. And it's not until when the people he was with start to plan a little betrayal with him, and he gets whiff of that before it's too late, he then does something like he does an action moment. He whips a guy's gun out of his hands, and then he cuts a clear shot of the audience where you see the light hit his face and people can see him clearly. So thus showing the audience when they finally see Indiana Jones for the first time, they get to do something cool, and of course they get a sense of okay, this guy is a very tough person. He's very observant, and and as well he can take action. So that's why there's a build up there to show off the type of hero that Indiana Jones is going to be and to show his qualities as a hero in that sense. If you have something similar to that in your comic, then go for it. You know, it's always cool to build that suspense. If you don't have anything like that and there's no real proper build up for it, there really is no point. So that's all I'll give you on that. Take it as you will, um, and ask around. There could be other people different opinions on that matter, but that's just my own personal opinion. All right.
I mean, I kind of agree with that, just because I mean, especially think about it this way: it's 4 pages, and already putting your character on the second page with like revealing their main face on the second page. That's like already half the story. You really need to be careful on exactly how you're gonna do this and how you're gonna approach it, because if it takes too long, it will fall flat, just because of the fact that I'm not sure for and when it comes to a lot of comic fans, but when it comes to readers or anyone in the news and the media today and age, they have a very short attention span, and you need to kind of like quickly grab their attention somehow. If they seem to think that it trails on too long, they might lose interest already on the story itself.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing too, depending on what kind of short story it is, if you're making something very actiony, then I believe you can get away with even showing off main character to the last page, but you have to show off but you have to show off essentially either the uniqueness, the cool factor, show off what makes your main character his actions more important than what he looks like. So then when the last page you suddenly see what it is, it has more of an impact. And also lastly, if there's something, let's not say it's an action story, maybe there's something weird about his face. Well, then if it's a horror story, try to build up that something happened to this character and it was very traumatic, and you detail it to the final reveal of this horrendous face. If it's a drama, then try to go around the backstory, get the readers enticed to the situation. Um, it's like I said, it's hard to pin down how you exactly go about it because I don't know what kind of genre you're writing. But the whole point still is the same. Build that suspense, but know when either to do it. But know that if you do it on page two, you're already using um, ha- half of not resources, not the best word. You're already using half of the book to just show off your character's face. So either try to do something within just that one page, make it be the final panel, or make that the whole point of the short story where the whole climax and the conclusion of the story is to that final reveal. And it will make sense definitely for a 4 page comic. So that's my final word on that. Anything to add, Jack?
Nope.
All
That's pretty
right.
much it.
Thanks for the question. Thanks for the question, Blue. Thanks for the question, Blue. It's nice to have interactivity from the audience. Very nice. All right. So, what were we talking about? Oh, that's right. The main point of the main point of the episode. All right. So, I was inspired by reading this essentially blog post from I believe he's a author. He's an author, and he and I'll read it off. It's called the the song remains the same with the word game in parentheses after song. So it's called the game song remains the same. He posted this like last month, so I was just finally getting around to reading to it. Terrible. So here's what he writes down. Games are first and foremost about their gameplay, not their story. Stories of games can be great. You can tell stories in unique and interesting ways that other mediums just can't do. However, gameplay is a prerequisite for a gaming experience to be, well, game. He goes on at this point. I think this was when the Last of Us thing was very hot. So he includes that game as an example. He says, "I never finished Last of Us because its gameplay was, quite frankly, too boring. It also looked boring. The story started off with a good hook in the form of tragedy, but then became a slog. There was very little game at the macro level and none at the meta level. Having to go through repetitive, boring actions in service to interactivity," writes in quotations, "to access a mediocre story does not make for a compelling experience. You end up asking, why isn't this a movie? But then that raises the next question. If this was a movie, would it be a good one? The fact that it ended abruptly should prove a good answer. Had the gameplay had been good, or just even a little better, I probably would have finished the game and enjoyed the experience. I would have forgiven the mediocre story and bland visuals, or even felt better about them overall. At the same time, we have an answer as to why mediocre storytelling is praised in games. The standards are low within the medium, and people are used to bad stories in all other mediums they consume as well. With all that in mind, here's what I think energy should be focused to make a game good. Number one, gameplay. Number two, aesthetics. And lastly, number three, story. And then he goes on to post two videos in which he goes about this more in detail. And his last paragraph reads, "Just to reiterate, you can have a great story in the game, but both gameplay and aesthetics are a more important part of the gaming experience. So those need to be functioning before a story can have its full effect." So, and that ends his short little blog post. And I'll post it in the Discord so you can read it for yourself, Jack. So I read that, and that's what got me to think about today's episode. So, and if you look at the thumbnail, I actually was very peculiar in the games I chose for the thumbnail, and that being, I chose the games Chrono Trigger, Deus Ex Human Revolution, the first Shenmue, and Halo One,
Mm.
which, in my mind, in my mind, are prime examples of games that succeed at both, right? Of having a
Yeah,
great story and great gameplay.
yeah.
So I'll say this. First of all, I want to ask you this, Jack. I'll just do this, Jack. In your opinion, does a game in, does a game ha, does a game have less? Does a game for you? I'm gonna try to phrase this not weirdly. For you, Jack, if a game does not have a story, does it have less to offer?
So for me personally, okay, if you here's the thing. If you would have asked me that, I would say, let's say 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago, I would have said yes. That if it did not had a story, I would have not cared about the gameplay. But here's the thing. So when it comes to the story itself, if it's a single player game, it needs to have a good balance of both gameplay and story. Because if it doesn't have a good story, then why bother playing the game? But if it has only purely gameplay and a garbage story, why bother playing the game?
Okay.
And like, here's the thing: that when it comes to that, it's a very, it's a very big and kind of like perilous, in my opinion, perilous balance you have to choose between them. Because if you don't do it right in either way, it just but it doesn't also exactly mean that everything has to be purely on gameplay. There are some games out there that are purely interactive. Uh,
And that and for me that goes into although that's for me that goes an entirely different discussion about what makes a game. So, but I get what you mean. The more interactive media that are not necessarily games. But I know what you mean in regards to that.
I actually do have a lot to say about that, mostly because I mean, it's always a thing that kind of goes through people's heads when they play a lot of games. They kind of think to themselves, not always directly, just stop and ponder, but they kind of just like have their own opinion of what's more important, the game itself or the gameplay or the story.
Right. So, okay, so we established that years ago, if we would I would ask you the same question, you would have you would have said that if there was no story for the game, that it had less value for you. Like, if I am understanding that correct, and you'll be less inclined to play it. Is that correct, or am I a
Oh,
bit off?
sorry, no, you're correct. I'm not sure if that picked up on the mic.
Okay. So now we come to now. What has changed your opinion on that now?
Mainly, it's a lot of the games that I play nowadays are multiplayer based games. League of Legends is a big example of that. I mean, it does have its own story, but it's like one of those things where you have to look into it to actually go ahead and play and like what's the word? You have to look into it to pretty much figure out what the story is.
Okay.
But
Hmm. Oh,
sorry,
go on. No,
I'm
go on.
just yeah, I'm just typing at the same time. So the thing is that with all these multiplayer games I'm playing, especially even things like Minecraft, where I played that like since I said 7 years ago, which is kind of weirdly enough close to the era of when I actually got into PC gaming, where I had started off, of course, with Minecraft and a lot of free to play multiplayer games. Those didn't have their own story. Like they had their story somewhere. You had to look into it, but that wasn't the main objective of the game itself. The main objective of the game was fun playing in multiplayer. Minecraft, you could play by yourself, or you could go into a server and play with others, have fun. You talk to new people, and that was the experience itself in the game. And that's why I say now that it's all about what type of game you're going to try to make. Is it going to be a single player, or is it going to be a multiplayer?
All right. All right. So I want to ask you this, because I want to ask you this.
Hmm.
So, so one of the things that came to mind to me was the classic Mario games, one,
Hmm.
two, three.
Yeah.
And now, would you be fair to say that while they did have stories, they're just they're pretty. It's pretty bare bones. It's more of a what's that word? Not even a story, because there's no arc. There's no plot. It's more just of a here's a setup and there's your goal. Would you, would you agree to that?
I mean, yeah. If it's of course, like if it's a complex game, of course the story needs to be somewhat complex in some way. But uh, when it comes to a bare bones game like Mario 1 and 2 and 3, I mean, really, it had a simple story. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing with when you call it when you're talking about books. You
Hmm.
have a kid's book, and then you have your like college level books that you need to read for your classes. They have a variety of levels in depth with their story. And I'm not sure if you agree with me with this, but uh, pretty much, I'm not saying that Mario itself it's a kid's game. It doesn't matter. We see a lot of people play, matter the age, and as long as everyone's having fun, go ahead. Because I loved Mario One, played it to death and back.
And,
And the
and
thing is
and yet kids
that
still, and yet kids today won't be able to beat that game.
it was a pretty difficult game. It still is, just because yeah.
And then when you go to Mars 2 and 3, where things got even a little bit complex, not by much, but still a little.
Yeah, like that's the thing that it still had a story. It was pretty much you're the hero, save the princess. And the story itself was you going through that whole motion of each level. Sometimes if you're good enough, you could just skip entire worlds entirely
Oh
because you
yeah.
already knew where they were at.
Oh,
The pipes.
I've done it so much, so many times. And also, we got a few comments from Blue. She says, even being as partial to story-driven games as I am, personally, I still say gameplay comes first. Even when gameplay is simple compared to story, it still ruins it if the gameplay isn't smooth. Whereas to me, a game with bad story can still be fun because of gameplay. That she does bring an
Agree
interesting.
with that.
She
Let
does bring an interesting point, which I want to tackle a little bit later, not yet, because I want to
oh okay.
answer this. You know, when you said in returns of simple games to complex games, and
Yeah.
how complex games should try to at least have some sort of complex story. My
Well,
first,
like yeah.
like not as a rule, but like in essence, if you're gonna do something big and grand, you have everything around it has to be big and grand around it, unless you are smart enough to not do that and still make it work. But one of the things that came to mind was that of a game that in it for its time was complex, but still had a very simple story.
Hmm.
It would be like the very first Zelda game.
Yeah.
Because even today that game still it's still complex, especially if you don't know where to go first and you don't know where each item is. And as a kid of that era, those kids of those era, the complex part, what having to do is number one, obviously playing the games for hours on end, doing just random stuff, seeing what would happen. What if I use a bomb on this part of the screen? Oh look, a cave blew up. Hey look, I found this. I found this sword. How do I get this other sword? I found this shield. What the shield's used for?
Like here's the
But the story
thing.
itself was just save the princess.
And here's really the problem with this whole big question in a certain aspect. There's a big caveat with this question. The caveat is what type of games are we actually going to be speaking about? Because of course, with open world games, they could be as simple as like how you say with Zelda. Technically, Zelda 1 is an open world game. I mean, all Zeldas are open world in a certain sense. So most of them, but Zelda 1 was the most liberating because it let you choose whatever path you wanted to go to. You didn't a certain fairy yelling at you to go a certain path. It's like some open worlds are linear, some are literally just throw you in the water and be like, okay, swim. And of course, having the type of game where they say, okay, go swim, see if you can figure it out. It adds that complexity to it because you don't know where to go. You've been thrown into the wilderness with a bunch of monsters and and you don't even know what you're gonna do. Meanwhile, in Zelda Ocarina of Time, you had a babysitter with you throughout the whole time. Not saying that the game I love the game, but like the complexity is in it comes from what the developers want you to do. If they want you to just figure it out for yourself, of course the complexity of the game itself is going to go just because you need to figure it out. But if the devs want you to have someone there to guide you, it will slowly it will lower down that skill or I guess that complexity. to the game.
And I definitely agree to that. You're a big point that obviously I asked such a broad question because obviously there's going to be a million caveats, and you and I are both inclined to be like gameplay is more important. It's going to be more important, especially for a game, right? So, but but I want to go. But I want to go. I guess I want to kind of pick it apart at it a little bit, and not just assume that because of the type of games we play or whatnot, that gameplay ultimately matters more than story.
I mean,
Because there's obviously certain games where it actually hinders if the story is well told, and if it doesn't, then there's no point in playing the game.
here's the thing. Really, if you want to talk to the bigger audience itself, what's the most important is always gameplay. And I do agree with that, just because it's really the gameplay that makes the game. You can have a good, like as Blue says, you can have a good story, but if it's not playable, then people are not going to play it. And you can see that with how single player games right now are pretty much slowly fading out. You don't see many single player games like how you did in the early 2000s. You see a lot more, even if there is single player, you'll see more the multiplayer.
And some of the single player games that do come out, aside from like a few that stand out that will reach our radars, most of them I'm just kind of either neutral about or just that. I don't even like hate it. Just pretty neutral about it. Like for example, what example I love to use? The recent God of War game that came out what 2 years ago, I think.
Boy.
Yeah, that one. I remember the hype around it, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be an interesting story. But then you know what turned me off, and I didn't even bother wanting to play it,
What?
was when I saw the gameplay. I was like, because I was like, I was expecting more hack and slash, what how God of War used to be on the old PS2 with combos, gaining new weapons, and all that, and all the kind of ridiculousnesses of it. And then
Hmm.
kind of this game, I'm like, okay, they're trying to take it serious, but I was still expecting that combo driven gameplay. But then they changed to like over the shoulder third person action game, and right there I saw that I was like, I don't want another Last of Us. God dang it. Because for a good moment, there was a lot of games that wanted that Last of Us type of feel to it. And and here's another example too, which is another Sony exclusive game. Um, a few months ago, my little brother and I started playing the Uncharted games, and we beat the first one, and we definitely had a good time, even through all the more frustrating parts of that first game. That first game is a definition of good but flawed. There's a lot of flaws in that game. We made it through, and we were enjoying it thus fine. Then we got to the second game, and there's definitely improvements. There are more um, risk in the storytelling and whatnot, bigger set pieces. But then eventually we were playing it and we just lost interest. We just simply lost interest. Interest. I try to make sure I kept it as a habit so that both I and my little brother could continually play the game, even if one of us forget.
Hmm.
But we lost interest, and I thought back to like, well, why lose interest? Technically, I wasn't even playing a bad game by any stretch of the means. And then, and then when I thought about it deeper, I was like, okay, I'm not playing a bad game, but but am I really having fun? That came the main question. I was like, well, kind of. I mean, it's pretty much more of the same. There's literally, aside from like improvements of control wise, there's no actual additions into the gameplay that are very significant. It's still the same type of third person cover shooter
Yeah.
with useless melee mechanics,
Yeah.
like literally useless melee mechanics. I don't know why they have that there, but they're not going to work as intended. And the story, while fun, is like literally we my brother and I would just be like, um, we would joke around, but it says a lot when we're thinking, what if we actually played as Indiana Jones instead of Nathan Drake? I think this would be much more fun. And constantly, without even trying to, not even intentionally trying to make fun of the game, we'd always resort back to making like an Indiana Jones joke, Indiana Jones reference. And at one point, um, near the end of the first game where we were playing, because at that point we were kind of really getting not sick of it, but we're having a hard time with it.
Hmm.
Um, Using the Spotify feature on my PS4, I quickly put on like the Indiana Jones theme as we were playing the game, and all of a sudden the game just went from like a good six to an eight for us. They're like, yeah, now it's an adventure. So this is one of those clear examples of like that the game really needs to be fun, even if everything else around it is good quality and solid. If it isn't fun, there's kind of no point to it. But 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 then you also have the opposites where a game is entertaining even though it may not be the most funnest thing to play. And this coincides directly with horror games. Actually, give me a second, Jack. Uh, talk, talk a little bit. I gotta answer a door.
Alrighty. So, alright. So here's the thing when it comes to. Actually, I can't really say because he's not here. But you know what's my favorite game? Of course, Hack and I, we obviously know. And if you watched a little bit of the stream, of my streams, you'll know that my favorite go-to game has always been Halo. And going a little bit inside to what the reason why I like Halo is because, first of all, as a child, I really loved the idea of just shooting things. I mean, I was a very disturbed child, but the I loved the idea of. At first, I thought he was just a big robot man. To be honest, I mean, I was like 8. I like the idea of being a big robot man that's unstoppable. Keep in mind, I played it easy. That was unstoppable. Couldn't die at all whatsoever. I was the strongest thing. These aliens didn't know what hit him, and of course, as a child, I did not care much about the story. I just being the hero of the human race, and it was such a fun thing for me as a child. And like I guess you could say that once when you grow older, you start to care a little bit more about the story itself, just to kind of catch, just to make it catch your attention. But really, who knows what it could be? Some people still like. I have friends that they really just like to play the game just for the game itself. I mean, I like playing. If it's funny, I like to play a broken just for the hell of it. Because if it's so broken to the point it's funny, play it just so you can have some good laughs. I mean, I had let's see, for example, I played Rainbow Six when it first in its beta, and it was the most hilarious thing imaginable, just because of the random stupidity that would happen throughout the game, and it kind of shows you that some games it can have the worst things, like it can have the bad gameplay, but it'll be fun just because you want to see that bad gameplay. And Blue is just where, as I'm reading, says as to me, games with a bad story can still be fun because of gameplay. I mean, yeah, that, and also I like bad stories too, just because of it depends. If it's a cheesy and bad story, it'll give me a good laugh. just comedy wise. For example, has anyone ever seen the I forgot which Spider-Man game? It was a Spider-Man game. I mean, the game is brilliant, but the acting was hilarious just because of if you can be able to miss these quick time, and it's just like the dumbest thing that Spider-Man will ever do. Let me see if I could find one. Fire building scene. The problem is I won't be able to play it for y'all, so that sadly I won't be able to do that. I got an itch in my ear. God dang it! What game was it? I need to tell Hack to ask Hack what game. Oh, I think I found it. Yep, I found it. I'm putting it there. So, guys, if you it's up on there, you ever have time, look up that video itself. Pretty much, it's the quick time event of Spider-Man going down, trying to save a scientist, and he just falls flat on his butt. But like, it's very. I don't want to get too much in detail because I want Hack to be. So while we're waiting on him, and so I can
I'm
actually
back.
be. Oh, there you are. Thank God. I was gonna start asking.
Sorry. When the grandmother needs help, it's hard to say no.
True.
And so like I'm guessing we're looking at Spider-Man, huh?
So I was telling them that pretty much that when it comes to some games, it's fun having a bad story. Like I mean, the game itself was brilliant, but the voice acting or like the certain scenes were just. So play it for them. Play it for them.
Oh, sure, no problem.
It's only like 17 seconds. Who needs eyebrows, anyways?
Oh, that is comedy gold. That is comedy gold.
I'm going to die. Boom.
If only the Shemu QTEs, when you messed up, they were that funny. But no, they ended up being too serious. Like, way too serious. Oh, messed up? Oh, I'm guessing the main character gets chainsawed in half?
Oh, you messed up. You fell too.
Oh, you messed up? Well, you couldn't save your girlfriend from the gang. By the
Up.
way,
You messed up. You got murdered in your bed.
oh, you messed up. The barber slit your throat.
Remember that did not happen.
Still, though, it's the idea. You know, with the very first time, you think he's actually gonna do that.
Yeah.
In any case, so Kessler, what you're saying, you're talking about games that are still fun even if they don't have like the greatest of stories.
And really, I didn't want to get into details, and I was just kind of rambling on, just so I can wait for you to get here, so you can hear my thoughts on and ideas about.
Well, I'm here now. As the song goes, go ramble on.
All right. So, uh, exactly. First of all, let's go with where you left off, just so we can not we have like a whole little line here of like a where did you leave off?
I left off. Oh, I was left off because I was trying to go into discussing games that they're entertaining but not necessarily fun.
So,
And I was trying to pivot that towards more like stuff like horror games or whatnot.
I mean, all right. So before we go into the horror game aspect, let's just go with the whole thing that it's fun, but it can. But again, like it has. So, like, of course, there's a lot of games out there that we can give examples that are fun, but not for the exact purpose of what they were created. And I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, yes, it's technically a bad game. Not many games themselves. Like, if you say, "Hey, I made this game purely because of its multiplayer, but it works better as a single player," then yeah, it's obviously pretty bad. Or, like for example, I had Rainbow Six as an example, alpha stage or beta stage, where it was pretty bad in the sense that everything stopped working. Characters were clipping, their bodies were clipping through floor to the point where you can shoot someone's foot through a wall. Like they're, it's like it's like as if someone instead once when they went down to crouch to like lay down on the floor, they started to kick holes in the wall just so they could have their feet. And like, of course, the game itself at that stage was bad, but at the same time, some people played it just because it was funny. I was one of those people that played it just because it was purely funny. At the thought of seeing, oh, I wonder where this guy's hiding at, and you just see two legs just going through the wall itself. And you're like, hmm. I don't think walls have legs.
Not in America, anyways.
So I'm a and like of course the game itself we can still say that the game itself was tech. I mean, yeah, actually not technically, it was bad, but really people have their own different opinions of why they play a certain game, even if it is bad. For example, people played what was that game called? No Man's Sky. You had a lot of people still playing it just because for them, maybe for them, the bare bones game at the start of the game, like at the start of its life, was fun for them. We can't really blame someone for what they like and what they don't like, really.
Nah, that's true, but we can still say they have crappy taste, though.
True, but
But they're entitled. They're entitled to enjoy what they
yeah,
want.
but
That's
let's go into what, as you were saying, into your transition of horror. So, what the hell is that? What did you just show me?
that, my friend, is a nuekabe. Is a type of Japanese yokai. It is a yokai that hides within the walls. It is the inspiration of the thwomp.
Cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to show that. Any case, yes, but regards to horror games.
All right,
So,
so here's the thing when it comes to horror games, as I think would be the main reason why people play that game, play horror games. Uh, it's still fun. I wouldn't say it's not fun at all, because saying it's not fun, then people would never really. It's how they approached it to be fun. Some approach it in a comedic way. I mean, you see a lot of YouTubers nowadays approach uh, horror games as comedic ways just so they can ease themselves to not get scared so often. Others approach it in the sense of adrenaline, which is the main thing of why horror games are exciting for a lot of people, and it's just the getting you that your blood pumping, having that having the the adrenaline pumping in your body, just being like, oh crap, this monster, this killer is gonna get me. And it has its own fun because you always have those adrenaline junkies every doing a lot of crazy stuff. Like for example, you would think that jumping out of an airplane is not fun, but you have people out there do it anyways for fun because they love that feeling of adrenaline.
right. Let me go into the cart argument because you know what's funny? I've
Hmm.
come to notice there's a lot of people who love to enjoy watching horror games but not play them.
Well, like
and let me finish.
okay.
Let me finish. And and usually there's the people that they just straight up they do not find any enjoyment in horror. They
Mm,
do not find any enjoyment in the thought of being scared or frightened or any sense of weird or any caution sense of caution that a piece of media will give them. And to them, that's not entertaining.
mm.
So, and in that case, that just boils down to preference, right? That's just preferences. But
I mean, yes and no. I feel like to give a counter argument to your argument right there is that there'll be some people out there that actually don't like to play these horror. I'm mainly going for YouTubers because there are some that don't like horror games, but they will play it because they know it's fun for everyone else to watch.
but that puts it in
Whenever
a different context, though. That's more for the enjoyment of an audience, not really the enjoyment for yourself.
well,
That's
you did. Here's the problem. You did mention when other people watch horror games.
yeah.
So that's
That
still even
was
even if you're watching your I still technically count this because you're watching mainly the horror game itself and also the reaction of your friend or whoever is playing, because that's the reason why some of these things are popular in media. People that watch horror games but they don't want to play it is because they don't want to be in the for the most part. These people don't want to be in the front seat. They want to see someone else's reaction
fair.
and either have fun with that reaction.
For a point, I was only using what I was saying just to show that the type of audience that these horror games attract, but not necessarily the ones that would actively play the game. So, but let me give you a game example of
Hmm.
one where I really think about it. The game, its gameplay itself wasn't that fun,
Hmm.
but it made up for it through the aesthetics and the story. And that for me, that game will have to be Silent Hill Shattered Memories. So for Shattered Memories, it was actually one of those very early horror games in which there, you couldn't be offensive against there was no offensive options, which was made
Hmm.
it kind of stand out from the other Silent Hill games. There wasn't a gun, there wasn't a crowbar that you could use to defend yourself, and and most of the time you just have to either run away or you literally use a flare to distract the monsters that will come after you while you again run away.
Hmm.
But one of the things that kept me playing the game, even though as strictly as a game, I found it kind of lackluster, was the fact that the story I tried to tell, and then actually kept going into this very uh, the code and often bizarre nature of Silent Hill. You become more engrossed about the setting and the characters involved within the story. And for me, I was willing to set aside whatever gameplay flaws it had because I wanted to know how the story played out. Because it was also one of those games and where it was where I kid you not, and they actually one of those games that does it properly, where your choices in the game actually does impact the story.
Hmm.
And more specifically, this is a cool part. Um, this is a cool part because throughout the game also psycho analyzes you by giving you real life psychology questions.
I
They,
heard about
yeah,
that.
and as well the game I don't know how they did it, but they have this type of they when you're going there's moments where you're in a first person mode and usually this is done when you're witnessing a story segment happening through the eyes of the main character, and the game will take note where exactly, since it was on the Wii, where you're pointing your pointer at all times. One of the biggest examples being that if you're constantly staring at one of a female character's cleavage or or around her hips area,
Hmm.
you will get an ending in which the main character turns out to be a cheater or yeah, oh yeah, an adulterous person that that ends up having a daughter who essentially sells herself to be a prostitute, and that's one of the endings that you'll get just because the game was witnessing where you were looking at most of the time.
I'm pretty. I think it's actually. Hopefully, if I could think about it, it could have gone as whenever you look at the person with your Wii remote, it registers it as some kind of hidden value,
Possibly, it's possible.
which is
I'm sure it's more simple.
most like
Just go ahead.
yeah, it's like it's probably the most simplest of concepts I could think of coding wise
But still,
to
though,
do it.
how many games have that as like as a feature?
Well, no, I'm just saying that coding wise, it could have been simple or it could have been very nuanced. Where I'm just making such a very oversimplified version of what it could be something very complex,
Yeah,
which is actually very interesting.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, isn't that a thing of coding that you have to sometimes have the most complex algorithm to do the simplest of tasks?
True.
Yeah, and keep in mind this. Name another game that has that feature where you're placing the camera actually affects the story.
No, I speaking of this, I used to follow this one game where I was kind of sad that it never came to fruition, but at the same time, I kind of expected it to not come under fruition, and I think it shows a little bit of how complex these type of games are, where some kind of hidden value would be there if you do a certain thing or don't do a certain thing. So there was a game called, if I remember correctly, it was called Sound of Silence, something like that. And it's not the song, but the thing is, in this game, the concept itself was that the concept itself is that the your interactions throughout the whole world itself would kind of what's the word, generate your own biggest, like it was a horror game. So if you're afraid of the dark or things that are like that, it will register the exact time of how much you stay. Like for example, let's say there's a hidden path and then a path that was lit up. If you took the one that was lit up, it obviously knew that you didn't like the dark path. Or let's say if it then after that it generated a path that had no light whatsoever and it was just pure darkness, it will register or will time how long you take to actually go through that tunnel. That was its concept. Where certain things you do, like let's say maybe you avoid it will then potentially generate a monster where it can maybe be able to track you continuously throughout the game. But it was such a like it was excellent on paper, but as you could see, it was way too much to implement.
Yeah.
I wish the game was out, but at the same time, I wish that it wasn't. Just because if it was, maybe we don't have the technology right now to
Nope, nope. It's not like what Patrick says. We don't have the technology.
pretty much.
But yeah,
But there's
but
actually another game that you reminded me of when you were talking about that there was really lackluster in gameplay itself, and that game was actually Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
oh, oh yeah, I remember that one. Really, those I thought the gameplay was praised in that one, or maybe it was just the horror aesthetics.
Well, here's remember, did you see anyone play Amnesia's story, or did you see people play the cut a lot? what was more popular, the story or the custom maps?
I couldn't tell you because I didn't really follow the game that heavily. But I'm gonna
Mostly,
assume the custom maps. I mean, sorry,
mostly
I'm
the
sorry.
custom maps.
Yeah, the custom maps.
Mostly it was custom maps because in the actual game, like I won't, I'm not gonna say that the game was bad in its story. It was, but the gameplay with itself in the story mode was pretty lackluster, just because it was of course supposed to be a psychological. That was the main purpose of the game. It was supposed to make you feel like there was a monster constantly chasing you. Yeah, sure, the game did had a monster chasing you, but it wasn't. It was very rarely there. Most of the times you saw it, but you didn't actually interact with it too much. The main thing that would make you the main thing for the game was playing around with the idea of darkness and how it makes your character. Like if you haven't tested it out during maybe someone let you play Amnesia, if you later in the game, if you stay in the darkness for too long, of course there will be things like maybe roaches crawling around your screen, or you could see like your vision will be blurring, or your character will faint out of pure insanity. But there are other times later in the game, you'll be chased by the monster, but then if you let it hit you for some reason, the monster just goes gone. It was literally all just inside your head. You were being chased by nothing.
Ooh.
So the game and story mode itself was very in depth with more of the psychological horror. Meanwhile, the custom games and the custom maps, people implemented the monster just because of the pure horror aspect of it. It became from psychological to horror to just a regular horror game with a monster around.
Ah, I see. You know, that also reminds me of another game that does all those psychological effects really well. It's an old GameCube game called.
Internal Darkness.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I
I
remember that.
I still love the fact. I still love the fact that one of the insanity effects that happens is that the game could trick you to thinking that you accidentally delete your save file.
No, it didn't make you accidentally delete your save file. It forced you to.
That's right, forced you. That's
Because
what it was.
if you said no, it would just switch it to yes. And then you would see your thing delete. Well, it will say you're deleting it, but it never did.
Yeah, that's
My
like
favorite,
that's Metal Gear levels of of just weird stuff.
my favorite one, which is something that will never catch anyone off guard anymore, just because it's when it changes your channel to 2 or some other channel instead of the game channel.
That's right. I remember they did that. You know,
Yeah,
back when
remember?
I used to mean something. Channel 2, Channel 3.
Yeah, people of if anyone that's any younger, like any younger than us, pretty much back then when you used to play the GameCube games, they're just kind of like how you do now, when you have your HDMI. We would play games on channel 3.
Or
I don't know
aux,
why it was just
or
always
the
there,
aux channel,
or
auxiliary
the aux
channel, the
channel.
auxiliary channel.
But
Oh,
yep, that's how what would happen. It would switch you off the auxiliary channel, and you would just be checking on your channels to see if you're doing it right. But no, it's just a game.
and also, you know what's another a game that while may not have the best gameplay, has a very fascinating story. Be this game right
Which
here.
let me see. Oh,
Oh man. For those who don't see it, yeah, No More Heroes, which is man. I feel like it's one of the most popular. Okay. I'm doing oxymoron. It's like one of the more popular, less known games ever. That makes sense to you, Jack?
Oh,
You still?
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Must you must have been cut off for that part.
Probably.
Any case, so I bring this up because now I will say I do love me the first No More Heroes, but again, much like Silent Hill Shadow Memories, there is some genuine flaws, especially in between like the cool action gameplay moments. Because I don't know if you're aware of this. Do you know what you have to do in between like the actual fights?
No, I remember.
In between fighting assassins, you literally have to do part-time jobs
Ah,
and and save up money for the next fight. So literally in between, like, yeah, I'm killing people, I am stabbing them in the chest while pile driving them. And then Travis all of a sudden has to then pick up pineapples at a nearby coconut place. I mean, he has to pick up coconuts at a nearby like tiki bar, or he has to literally mow the lawn for some guy. Or what's the other mini
I
games?
mean, can you technically say that that's the same thing with? I'm gonna get maybe some hate. Persona 5.
Persona 5? No, it's not the same because number one, Persona 5, a lot of those stuff they help build up your attributes, which can lead to big rewards near the end. In No More Heroes, you're literally doing the part-time jobs just for money, and they have the most ludicrous controls ever.
Sure.
The pineapple, not the coconut ones.
Hmm.
You can't just move your character with a thumbstick, press A to pick up the coconut, and then put it in a place. You know what you have to do? Uh,
What?
Travis, he automatically walks to the nearest tree, and this is on the Wii. You then have to shake the tree by literally shaking your remotes, and then he picks up a coconut, and then you literally have to balance yourself picking up a coconut as Travis is walking back to the container to put all the coconuts at.
Why?
I don't know. Apparently, Travis is strong enough to fight assassins, but weak enough to carry a coconut. But it's like, but they have these weird. It's like, and same thing with the lawnmower one. That was just so odd. Oh, let me,
You gotta balance yourself before you actually cut your head off.
and let me see. Let me see if there's any more I'm missing, because I want to make sure I get every single one. Gameplay. Yeah. Being katana, yes. Most times, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and also in addition to, you have to save money to do the next to progress the story, but y'all just spend money to upgrade your swords and to learn new moves. So so pretty much, if you want to do extra stuff, you're gonna be doing a lot of menial tasks just to progress through the game. And I've seen two sides of this argument when it comes to that of how it's been No More Heroes. Some go for the straightforward, like it's like the least fun part of the game, and luckily the sequel they die that down real fast.
Hmm.
But then other people who played it, they come off with a very different experience, and seeing that that it kind of that it that they while they don't think the essentially the part job mini games are the best implemented, they appreciate the kind of mundanity of it, and it makes you kind of really get into the headspace of Travis, who is this, he is this loser otaku doing these jobs he
Nah,
doesn't care about, all so he can just kill people for fun.
nah. They're just kind of thinking about it too much.
Like I said, it's a two things of thought. And actually, you know what? Now you remind me. Um, I remember. Okay, so I remember. So this is the only time I'll say this. I read a Kotaku article once, and I mean actually read it. I didn't just skim through it. And it was talking, and I think, it was a bit pretentious, but it was a very unique experience when someone played Shenmue for the first time in this day and age. And I'm saying like actually played it. They didn't just play like the first 2 hours and they were like, I hate this game. No, like they played it beginning to end. Let me see if I
Hmm.
can find it. But yeah, like I said, it may be a bit pretentious, but still though, if it helps with trying to create the story you tell, yeah, you can't knock that. Especially no, I mean with me planning to play the game, I can actually see it where uh I can actually see it, and honestly, I mean, if we really think about it, are we all just working so we can do the things that we love to do? And just in the case of Travis here, he just likes murdering people, but the legal way.
Well, like here's the thing with when it comes to Shenmue. Uh, as a child, I literally just I did not like the work part of the game itself to progress a little bit in the story. So what I ended up doing was exactly what you saw me do during my playthrough of Shenmue. I restarted the game, used up all my money to buy plastic figurines that I know that they're not gonna take away from, and then sold the the replicas, like the duplicates, and I progressed through the game like that, just because I wanted to avoid playing the so like to some people, and I still don't like the working part. I mean, I like making jokes about it because it's very menial tasks of hearing some guy going left, 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 right, right, left. We're putting it down. But I still tend to want to avoid it just because I want to go through the story,
Let me
know
ask you,
more about the
let
story,
me
and
ask you this:
yeah.
if you had the power, would you take it out of the game?
Mm,
Like, would you cut it like straight on? You don't have to work to progress the story.
no, because it's my own opinion.
Okay, okay.
Because like some people enjoy it because for a game like that during its time, it was amazing because it built the story itself. Like it built you a world. Whether even you're if you're doing something, there's people in that world that are still working, going to certain. That's why I still like the idea of talking to random people, even though if 90% of the times they're gonna be like, "Can't you see I'm busy?" type of thing.
Yeah, and actually, I found the article, and I found the Kotaku article. It's titled, I kid you not, this came out back in April 2019. Shenmue's much hated forklifts feel revolutionary today. And let me read through it for just a bit so you get where this person's coming from. And it's actually a long article, so if you want to read on your own time, I'll put the link on the Discord. But let me just read like the first few paragraphs. The writer says Mario has Yoshi, Link has a Pona, Ryu Hazuki has a forklift. This unassuming industrial vehicle has become so closely identified with Shenmue that when series director Yu Suzuki wanted to tease the announcement of Shenmue 3, all he had to do was tweet a picture of one. For both advocates and detractors, Shenmue's forklift sequences are emblematic of how unexpected, different, and downright strange the much hype adventure game turned out to be, compared to the game we were conditioned to expect. When Sega released Shenmue for the Dreamcast in 1999, it was supposed to be the future of video gaming. Pre-release hype sold it as an unprecedented achievement in detail and interactivity, a fully realized 3D city where you could interact with everything. It was far more the most expensive video game ever made at the time. It followed Ryo Hazuki, 18-year-old heir to the Hazuki-Ju Jujutsu dynasty, at the, at the onset of his epic, as yet unfinished quest to avenge his father's murder and seize his destiny. It takes about 20 hours to finish Shenmue's main story. A surprising amount of that runtime, especially as the game reaches the end, is taken up with sequences of Ryo driving a forklift during a part-time job down at the docks of New Yokosuka Harbor. In any other epic genre-defining adventure game, you spend the last hours before the final sequence traversing an appropriately over-the-top final dungeon. In Shenmue, you spend it waking up early so you can take the bus to the harbor and clock in. Seriously. You spend 5 full in-game days working your forklift job, picking up and moving crates back and forth for hours. It's not just for extra money for gotcha toys and games for Space Harrier. You have to do it to advance the plot. Beyond how wildly miscalibrated it seems for a self-styled epic adventure game, the most ridiculous thing about Shenmue's forklift sequence in 2019 is how well it works. So and I'll stop there. But to summarize, what the point he wanted to make was that for that whole part of the game in which you're just working and doing the whole forklift races, he admits that even when that started happening, even he got tired of it, having to do the races and do the jobs. But the writer, he got so engrossed to the story, and he got so engrossed in kind of the surroundings of the forklift that when it was time to actually when Rio actually got fired and it was time to move on, he felt very solemn, and he had a very unique experience in which, that he was gonna miss what essentially is like a very mundane part of life, being work, and how and through a more artistic lens, he was trying to see, what implement this in your epic martial arts game. What was the point of it? And he goes down to he goes down to his points of how it was meant to show how Ryo was through his experience working at the docks, how he was realizing what he was going to throw away and what he was going to let go by keeping on his quest for revenge. I mean, think about it. Throughout the entire games, how many people tell him, like, Rio, don't do revenge. Rio, don't do revenge. Revenge is not going to bring back your father. How many times has that happened in the stories in both games? I'm going to assume Jack says a lot. It's very
I
apparent.
mean,
It's very apparent at the very least.
yeah.
So, through his perspective, he found the whole forklift moment refreshing because it allowed him to essentially reflect on this journey, and by the end, he realizes that moment with Rio working and then the day he came fired, that was the last day that Rio got to live a normal life as just another teenager from Japan. And
Mm.
like I said, it may come off as a bit pretentious, but he still made some valid. In my eyes, he made some interesting points, and when I really think about them deeply, I kind of see where he's coming from. I remember when I streamed the first game on my personal YouTube channel, and when I was gotten to the near the end, where Ryo was literally saying his goodbyes. And you want to know, out of all the people, who like got to me the most?
Who?
Tom, the hot dog guy. Like on stream, when Tom says like he was leaving to go back home, I was like, no, Tom, no. And like, even though he's like a very minor character, and you mostly just have more comedic interactions with him, you see him every day, you recognize him. Like, he's the guy you recognize. You're like, hey, look, it's Tom, the hot dog guy. Yeah, it's good to see him. Good to see him. Wish I can actually buy a hot dog. But in any case. And so when he actually was leaving, I was like, "No, Tom, why are you leaving?" And then you notice, like, they gave him very simple yet very poignant backstory of why he has to go. He has to go back to his own homeland. He has to go back where he belongs. And and of course, before he officially leaves, he then teaches you one last move, which is literally like one of the best moves of the game.
Which,
Oh man.
I forgot. Which one was it?
It was like a double jumping. It was like a It was up a jump kick, but you hit like twice in the air.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot what the actual name was, but that was what was it. And so he left, and I'm like, and I even asked myself, why am I getting emotional over Tom? And I think the writer, when I read that, I think I understand what he was saying. Kind of like in real life, you take for granted just your daily stuff and your daily surroundings and the people you meet. That when it's time to say goodbye or go to a whole new place, you then realize you're never gonna see them again, and your life ain't never gonna go back to normal. So, and like I said, it's probably unintentional. Maybe the game director Yu Suzuki, he didn't have that in mind. Maybe he thought the whole forklift sequences was gonna be a fun thing, and or maybe he did do it for artistic purposes. Who knows? But the fact that that specific moment gives players such different perspectives on it is what makes kind of Shenmue such an intriguing game and as a story, even with its flaws. That even its flaws can be seen as a highlight of the game if you look at it at a much more deeper level.
I mean, if if like I wouldn't say if you look at it at a deeper level. I'm it's more like if you try to look at it in a deeper level, because sure it has some thoughts in the game itself, but I wouldn't say force the person to think deeply onto the
Oh no,
uh,
that's the best part. It doesn't force you, but then you ponder about it, you think about it, and you go into your and then you start and then you just go down that rabbit hole, and you start realizing things that may or may not be there, but the very point it makes you remember the game for forever.
true, I guess, but at the same time it just kind of like it kind of feels like the same thing as an English teacher saying, "What do the blue drapes?" Eh,
Well,
Like add context to something that's not really probably ain't really there.
true,
But
but then why add the forklift? Why add the forklift in the first place? Because remember, the
for
game
fun,
would have to be tested, and by
I mean,
Sega's
the
own
fun
things, if it
thing.
was fun, if it turns out it wasn't fun, they wouldn't have added it in.
I mean, there's a lot of things that were probably fun, but were added in because, like for example, Rainbow Six, they had a fun little concept of they had a fun concept of having the certain operators itself have special perks. Like for example, the FBI was had less damage taken for explosive. The SAS was able to be impervious to gas, but they took it off because even though it was a fun aspect, they took it off just for I guess competitive play.
Yeah, but
Even though everyone else liked
uh,
it's not about the testing itself. It's just really about. I mean,
I don't think that's fairly equal because that's essentially just trying to balance a game for competitive for competitive reasons, not necessarily for any type of artistic or story reasons.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying that it's kind of. Oh my! I'm just saying that it having that thought is to me way too pretentious. I don't know.
Well, well,
I
I'll say, how about for equivalent? Me, Blue says this. She says, well, depending on the author, the Blue Drapes might have meant something. And then she has a lull. That's true.
I, I
That's true.
might have, but we can't. And
So then let me ask you this, Jack. Let me ask you this then.
all right,
Um, you play Phantom Pain, right?
very rarely now. Yeah,
But you have. That's the point.
yeah.
Would you say there's no symbolic or deeper meaning in that game? Is everything's just pretty straightforward?
Well, here's the thing: you're judging it by a person that already tries to think everything symbolically.
Well, no. I'm asking you that is there enough clear evidence within the story, within the gameplay that could lead you to those that could lead you to more deeper thoughts and returns and pertaining to its narrative.
Yes, but here's the thing. Again, the man itself is known for his symbolism. It's different when you don't know if the man is known for his. It's like me saying that Dr. Seuss has a lot of symbolism, but we don't really exactly. That's my main point. We can't really saying that having Kojima as a example is pretty bad example just because he already is been known for putting symbolism in.
Okay, okay, fair enough. That might have been a bad example. Bad example. But well, let me ponder this for a second because I'm trying to figure out exactly what I am actually trying to say. Okay, so mm, I guess I'm just trying to I guess I'm just trying to be devil's advocate because automatically, yeah, if the drapes are blue, the drapes are blue. You know, I get I definitely get that, but you know, there's you can still get an enjoyment if
I
you
mean,
just
yeah,
if you
yeah,
ponder stuff
people,
more a bit. Now, should that be like the definitive thing about said thing? Should what this writer said about the forklift stuff be his definitive thing about the forklifts? No, no, but it was
yeah, like
it's
I understand that.
it's a
I mean,
viewpoint that I
like,
appreciate and that I never considered.
yeah, like sure, that's fine, but like I'm just that's not a for sure thing that maybe the author or creator try to do on. Because, like, for example, you already know how it is with game theory and FNAF itself, and the game theory literally has made many things that people in themselves don't really agree with. Like, they said, no, your theory's wrong. That's not what I meant to do. On one occasion, I remember that, and that's just my main reason that people really they can have fun with their own things, but then if they say that's what the creator tried. That's where I draw the line.
Blue says, yeah, knowing things about the creator adds context that you can't remove, even if you want to, you know, and you can't unknow, fair enough, because then we're going to like death of the author type of stuff, and for me, I hate that. I really do hate that when 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 you have that type of mindset where it doesn't matter what the creator had intended for something specific. It matters to what how you experience it. It's like, sure, you can have your own experiences, but you can't just forego what the creator or the writer or the author or the artist had in mind. You know, if they pin a horse and they call it a zebra, they're probably just trolling.
But yeah, that's pretty my main point on the whole matter.
Yeah, it's just I think what kind of not upsets me, but what kind of annoys me, it's only slightly, is that if you do wanted to uh, kind of dig deeper on stuff that you can admit that may not even be there, all of it doesn't really matter because someone could say, so okay,
What happened?
no, like that's how I said it.
Okay.
Yeah, then you're like, so it was like, well, I guess my experience doesn't mean anything. It's one of those things that's just frustrating, but not important. At least in my eyes, because you want to share how you felt when you play that, when you read that, or when you watch something, and then we get a response of, okay, sure, I didn't see it, and whatever. Or like, God dang it! I was like, okay, it's fine, it's fine. Just all right. I'm just thinking too hard. Give me that small peepee. You need to put small peepee in my head.
Small PB. That.
Yeah, but yeah, at least yeah, it was a little fun segue. Speaking of pretentiousness, speaking of pretentiousness, um, what are some games, Jack, you have played in which the story try to exemplify that, where the story try to be more than what the game is, and because of that, it suffered for it.
Ooh. Hmm.
There's
That I've played.
that I've
Uh
that you've played and or seen via let's plays and whatnot.
that's Stranding by from what I've seen.
That's true. That's
Ooh, sick
stranding.
bird.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. Hey, blue. Hey, blue. Let me know in the chat. Um, how much do you know about this Hideo Kojima game made by Kojima Productions, presented by Hideo Kojima and Monster? How much do you know about Hideo Kojima presents Death Stranding? Let me know in the chat. Because it's I got I have this joke I love to do, but it's gonna be dependent on your answer. But from my perfect example, um, it would. If I have to be very, if I have to be very, if I have to be very honest. I'm looking at my collection right now to get some ideas about about like pretentious stories, just making the game not worth fun playing. Um, hon, ho- honestly, it would have to be stuff like it would have to be Life is Strange.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even then I like I said I barely call that a game since you can't really fail, or there's at least no severe consequence for your actions. At least not when the story needs it to have consequences.
I thought there was a game over type of thing.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Oh, actually, no. Like any moments that could be like some significance, literally the game will stop, and then you will literally have to rewind time to redo that section.
Uh, I see.
Oh, Blue says that's the one where you're Norman Reedus and you carry a baby around for some reason, right? And others said Americans were smart enough to get it. Yes, that's the one, Blue. So hear me out. Hear me out. That's how big brain Hideo Kojima was for Death Stranding. Ready? Ready. Okay. So the character Norman Reedus plays, his name is Sam Porter Bridges, right? That's important. You know what's his mission? His mission as the man named Sam Bridges is to connect the United States of America, i.e., to build a bridge across the country. And his name is Sam Bridges. I'm not done. I'm not done, and I'm not still not done. Hold on. Let's see. I need to look up the Death Stranding characters. The Stranding wiki. Yes, give me the characters. Give me the characters. God dang it. Um, couldn't they just have a? Oh. Okay, okay. Here's one. There's a female character, right?
Hmm.
Her name is Fragile, right?
Oh my god. Yeah.
You
Oh,
know why her name is Fragile?
why?
Because her body is fragile.
There you go.
No, there's even more. There's even more. There's even more. There's a character played by Guillermo de Toro. His name
Hmm.
is Dead Man. You know why he's called Dead Man?
Because he's actually dead.
No, he's called Dead Man because he works with corpses.
That was a happy fap.
And last one. Um, the last character I want to mention, there is literally Sans pretty much boss throughout the entire game. You want to know his name is his higher up?
What?
Die Hard Man. I am not kidding. Die hard man. I'll even spell it for you, Blue. Die
Mm.
dash hard man. That's how you spell his name, and that is like his essentially code name. But people call him Die Hardman. Oh my god! If there was a way to roast this game, I would. But even the Djibouti bros couldn't roast the game in full because there was so much nothing in between. Oh man! All right, so going back to my Life is Strange example, one of the things that I honestly found kind of pretentious in that game was that, oh, and honestly, it just came back to the fact that it was a game meant that maybe not pretentious, but I guess it feel like it was important to itself, which I guess is what pretentious means, and that they have a game about the end of like this whole town. It's about to be there's like a visions that the main character's town will be obliterated, but it's all about the relationships and friendships of these like dumb teenagers, and like it's typical CW drama. It's like a CW superhero show. Hey, 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 we got Gorilla Grodd. I was like, we gotta deal with Gorilla Grodd. I know, but Barry, how could you? I trusted you. Iris, I gotta find a gorilla. Barry, you left the toilet seat up and you didn't put it down.
You see that? I
Iris, is
hate
not the
that about
time.
I hate that about the CW shows because if they just like shut up and listen to each other, none of these problems would happen.
Yeah, and so the pretenders of the Life is Strange that you're interacting with this game, and the whole point is and the whole point of the thing is number one that all your actions have consequences, except for the fact that you can literally rewind time and not deal with those consequences. You know, you could accidentally shoot your best friend. Does that matter? Nope. Rewind time.
It's just like, oops,
You can literally let a girl suicide herself. Can you let it happen? Nope. Rewind time.
do a backflip.
and so and so is and then you have the whole thing of like it's all about pretty much and so when you take away all those very much permanent consequences because of the power, like okay,
Hmm.
maybe they might do something interesting with it. The only interesting they did was that somehow, to some way, the main character ends up in an alternate universe where her best friend is like is she can't move her body from the neck down, and she's begging her best friend to like kill me. I'm suffering here. But even then, that's an alternate universe that it was basically a big what if, and looking back, it didn't really have anything to do with the main story besides being like, what if this happened, and you get to explore that a little bit. It didn't make you appreciate the best friend you had more because she's a raging British slang for bad lady, and and oh my gosh. Oh my gosh! Just watch the ER video on it. He goes on it really
Watch
well.
the video.
Watch the
That
ER
means I
video.
no, no. That means I'm gonna have to still see cringe.
I know, totally.
So
Gosh.
I don't want to watch it.
What's that other what's the other those words? Um, what's the something they kept saying? Cool, totally. Czar, swang, sway. You know what's a slang word that needs to be apparent? Shui. I want shui to be a real slang word. Shui. I like the way it sounds. Say it. Shui. Shui.
I'm not gonna say
That's not very shui of you, is
it.
it? Come on, Blue. You can join me. Shui. I don't know how you spell it, so do your best.
If you join, I'm taking off one pun coin for both of you.
Do it. Do it. Do it. Jack doesn't control you. You're your own independent person. You do what I say, then you're independent. Oh man. All right. So yeah, like I said, that's one example in which it was pretty much a game biting more than they could chew. So, and arguably I can say that The Last of Us, but talk about that game to death at this point. There's no point in me reiterating stuff you can listen to in past episodes. So, oh my gosh, I just noticed Jack. You know, I just noticed. Oh, Blue. No, I only have one. Do it for me, Blue. Say type in Shui. Type it in. Do it for
Do
me.
it, and I'll now take two, and you owe me one.
Or you know what? You know what she could do? She could just write another pun and then say the word.
No, no,
No.
no. There's a cooldown
Ah,
if things
oh, hey,
that offend me. If
cool
there's a
down.
thing that offends me, there's a cooldown.
There's a cooldown for getting currency.
There's a cooldown if you offend me with with something that Hack wants to do.
Oh, now I'm just thinking, what if like there was actually cooldowns for getting currency in games?
Sorry. We can't give you your paycheck, so actually,
You
hold
got
up.
you need to wait you need to wait a day more. I mean, if you think about it, if you paychecks are essentially cooldowns on your currency. Oh, she did it. She goes, huh, Shui. That's
All right,
it.
you're fine.
Yeah.
The day it becomes $1,000 per pun coin is when you owe me $5,000.
Oh no, I need some victory music. Some victory music. She chose the right choice to say Shui. Hold on. I need the perfect victory music. Dang, I can't spell fantasy to save my life. Fantasy. Victory. Here we go. And and I'll just switch it off. Let me just switch screens for a second. Bada bing. This is for you, Blue. All right, that's enough of that.
Yes, I love the silence in my. I love hearing the silence here with the awkward.
Oh. Blue says, she says to you, Jack, sure enough, threatened me, Jack.
I am a tyrant. I will threaten who I want. Why do you think in Civilization 6 I always go, even when I try to be diplomatic, people just inevitably hate me.
And that's why you're the leader of Jackistan.
That is why I blame France and Britain for starting everything. Because every time I'm in Civ, they always start something. And that's why I burned them into the ground with nuclear fire.
God dang.
Hey, they
And,
should have threatened me.
hey,
That's what last time I had a mobile game where someone attacked a tile I was gathering, and I burned their whole city
see, see, uh, the,
just because
see,
just because they attacked my farm.
see, you can earn the useless currency of a overbearing dictator, or you can be with your fun, benevolent,
Yeah, benevolent.
benevolent,
I am benevolent. He is whatever he's.
your, or you can be with your fun, but
Bedazzled. Let's go with bedazzled.
oh, benevolent, benevolent captain who invents words and always has a good time. I mean, but if you're into if you're into order, and I'm, you know what that's it is. Your order, I'm chaos. This is Shin Megami Tensei game.
No, 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 no. No, you're nothing near chaos.
More chaotic than you,
You're no, you're not.
in some sense. Like I have a water bottle over wires. Ooh.
No, that's not. You always you know I am mostly chaotic good.
I didn't anything about good. It just means like,
Yeah, but that still pertains to me being chaotic. You are more lawful good.
yeah, yeah. You know, you're right. You're right.
So
I
if you
am
want to go
lawful
with the
good.
chaotic, if you want to go with fun, it's me.
Well,
Hack over there is a hack. See, that's how you make a pun.
and thus the seeds of civil war has begun. No, wait, no, wait, no, no. I
Hack.
got to do it better. I got to do it better. I got to do it better. I got to do it better. Ready? I got to do it better.
All right, alrighty, alrighty.
Dang it! I'm not. Dang it! Ah, dang it! I lost my Yoda voice.
Oh, there you go. See,
Begun.
whenever it comes to banter, I always win.
Begun. Dang it! What kind of the channel war? The hack jack war? There we go.
Just always let's just have another Jack versus Hack,
Yeah, if you
and
could.
notice it's me.
Oh! He gets first billing.
Ooh, nah, it doesn't matter. But yeah,
Blue says, "Woo! Chaotic good crew, rise up." Blue, how could you betray me? How could you
see.
betray me? I'm fed
Besides,
up with this.
besides,
I'm fed up with this world.
besides, here's the thing. At least when I burn something in nuclear fire, I make it better.
Yeah, that's a funny story, Jack. So how's your
Well,
sex?
look,
So how's your sex life?
better than yours. At least I had some.
As far as the Germans want you to believe.
Oh my!
We're getting off
I knew,
topic.
I knew it. I knew you had some chocolate.
Chocolate? What? I'm hungry. What? Yeah, I heard chocolate. What'd you say?
Yeah, exactly, chocolate.
I can go for some chocolate. Milk chocolate to be exact.
I'm pretty sure you want to, especially since you dated someone else.
Blue also says, "I am who I am." Hack. You know, I can't control that. You're right. I cannot. I cannot control that.
You know. Okay, let me give you a little story about something I did that was actually somewhat chaotic. Yeah, chaotic good. It was pretty chaotic good.
All right,
So,
share away.
so my friend and I we were playing Civilization. This was his. He did not know how to play Civilization 6. So his initial thought was, let me settle on a desert plain. That was his thought. The problem with that thought is that desert tiles don't produce anything. There's no food, there's no production. It's literally dead land because it's a desert, of course, right? So he could not grow. Everyone was stuck already in the Renaissance. He was in barely the Stone Age. So you know what I did to help him out? I took a city because we were in the middle of war anyways with someone. It took several, and whenever you take a city, you can see their technology go up or down depending on how you're low. I was in the modern era against someone that was in the Renaissance. So you already know I'm going with guns. The other guy's going with. I took over his city. It went from a Renaissance looking city to high tech modern era. And then I traded it to my friend because he was so behind. It went from modern back to Stone Age. Imagine,
Uh,
hey, I was doing something good, but not for the right people.
exactly. All right, then, in comparison, let me give you a lawful good story, and,
Right?
here's one. So, this is me playing when I for the first time played Deus Ex Human Revolution. The very first mission,
Mhm.
they start you off pretty high. You got
Mhm.
to stop the terrorists and rescue the hostages.
All right.
And it's not as simple as it sounds. And literally the game gives you like two gun options, and they have boiled down to go in guns a blazing or sneak. I'm like, you know
Mhm.
what? I'm gonna sneak. I go in sneak. I do an adequate job for a first timer, and and I ended up figuring out very creative ways to sneak around. I literally at one point was sneaking around by literally um, crouching and crouching and crawling on these giant light bulbs up above a room, and nobody could see me, and I was able to go on by. And then you go into your first situation. You have all these hostages tied up in a room, in which there's a bomb timer. If the timer goes off, a smoke would send out, and it kills all the hostages. We're talking at least 10 people.
Mhm.
And you see the room where it is in an enclosed room, but you gotta get away into it. You got to either go through the vents or find the back door. I went through the vents, and I was able to stop the bomb like few seconds before it detonated. I
Mhm.
defuse it. I'm like, yes, yes. I feel like RoboCop now. And then I continue on, and then you go into the final part of the game, and not final part of the game, final part of the mission, in which you're face front to front with the main terrorist guy, and he has um, another hostage with him, another hostage with him, and at this point, the cool thing about Deus Ex is that you have to be very careful on what you say, especially in this type of situation, because you can get a whole multitude of different of results. And
Mhm.
so as I was doing this, I'm like, all right, I have to be the terrorist. Let me think in the mind of a terrorist. And so I kept and so because of that, I was able to say the right stuff, and I kept getting closer to him and closer and closer, and I was able to literally talk, like just talk. I didn't even shoot anything. I was able to talk him out of letting go of the hostage, and he told me like very like valuable information in relation to the plot, and he was willing to go serve his sentence. So just for my first mission, I was able to save everybody, and I was able to redeem the terrorist.
Damn it, you
So suck it.
paladin.
Fortunately, that wasn't the kiss on my second try, but less said about that, the
No,
better.
I would have done the same thing. But then at the end, once when he says he's gonna serve his sentence,
Just shoot him in the back.
hey, he said he wanted to serve his sentence.
you
So
I could do that. Maybe add a little like, if I'm role playing that game, I could add a little Dirty Harry to it. Like as he turned his back, and I just say to him, um,
all right, handcuff me. Wait, wait. Oh, sorry. What did you say? You said you thought I was gonna handcuff you?
he's a this here is a 45 mag, the most powerful handgun in the world. It can blow your head clean off. So you have to ask yourself, do you feel lucky?
He's lawful evil.
Or do you, punk?
That would be more lawful evil.
Nah, Dirty Harry's more chaotic good than lawful evil.
Well, at
It
least from that line, if you would do it in that certain aspect.
It's Clint
With
Eastwood, man. Anything he says sounds very imposing. I, oh man. Any case, so yeah, that's fun. Man. I really gotta go back to playing that game. I got so into that game, but when I got to that first boss fight, it really grinded my gears. Oh man. Any case, actually, what time is it? Ooh, it's uno, and it's like 2 hours 8 minutes. All right, so
I got
for
Uno, Uno down. I
you,
win.
you know what? I think that should be our next hack versus Jack. You think we want to make it Uno?
Oh, what a We let's buy Uno on Steam then.
Yes, yes, yeah, yes. Okay,
Add like two bots.
two bots. Yeah, yeah, well, yeah. Yep. Hold up. Excuse me. Pardon me. All right then. Hold on.
Pardon.
Let me make a note. Give me a second. Make a note so we can plan it for a future stream. I have to write this down. If I do not write this down, it will be lost forever. And I'll be like, what? Uno?
Just like that one episode we had
Oh.
lost.
Oh. Let's inform Blue because I'm sure she doesn't know what we're talking about.
All right.
Um. So so Blue, if you go really pay attention to our episodes, um, Blue says, "Careful, the bots are mean." Well,
They are.
we'll try to be meaner. But a little short story. So if you noticed, in because we put all our shows in a playlist, and if you notice the amount of episodes and our videos in the playlist does should match like the episode number. You know, if you have 43 videos, that would mean 43 episodes. Going by that logic, if you pay attention, and once if you pay attention, it actually says we have 40 videos but 41 episodes. A long time ago, I still remember, and I still have like my version of the audio. The early version of the show wasn't streamed live. It was pre-recorded, and I would do the audio editing. And so we would record the audio, and then Jack would send the audio to me, and I would combine them and edit them to make them sound nice. Well, one time we were doing that. Remember, it was episode 18,
Hmm.
and it was a regular. We were recording. Everything was going well, and then by the end, Jack's Audacity program crashed, and and of course we didn't have and of course he didn't have enough time to actually save the recording. So literally, we couldn't do episode 18 because his recording was lost, and the only thing that's left, it's still on my other computer, is just my version of that of my audio for that episode. And I'm
You're
pretty.
slightly correct.
Oh yeah,
What
yeah.
what actually
Go ahead.
happened was I saved it. While it was saving, it crashed.
Oh, that's right.
That was like the biggest middle finger Audacity gave me. The audacity of
Freaking Audacity. Save crashing while saving.
the audacity of Audacity to do this.
And so because of that, episode 18 is essentially a lost episode. If there's enough I guess the word would be it support and interest, I could maybe do like release like what the heck I was saying throughout that episode, but without Jack, there's no context to the back of the board. You just hear me.
Oh, you know what we should name it?
What?
Note this down. Uh, Hack lost episode schizophrenic featuring schizophrenia.
It is just called the Hack Show episode 1.
Hack show episode 1 featuring schizophrenia.
There you go. So yeah, so because of episode 18, and and I was like, you know what? Let's have fun with it. To make let's just continue on to the next episode and not just try to redo the episode. So if you look at our playlist, it goes 1 through 17, and then goes straight to 19, and we make it as a point to, unless someone brings it up, we just never acknowledge it. Never. Never acknowledge it until someone brings it up, or if it's like, or if we're talking about like where we are now, and to be like, oh yeah, we did 42 episodes. People, are, oh, can we look? Why is there? What?
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
I feel chipped, bamboozled.
I, I, I feel swindled. No, I love that word, bamboozle. Bamboozled. It's a fun word. In any case, actually, so Unfortunately, kids, it's about that time. We gotta wrap the show up. I got work. I unfortunately have work in the morning, so and it's already time for me to hit the hay. So first off, thank you, Blue, for watching our episode. It's always good to have an audience for our shows. And Jack, please, with you do if you do the honors, tell us what you will be doing till the next episode of the Hack Jack Show.
As you can see, I've been on my days off. I'm trying to have a live stream going on. I already had my first live stream, which is technically a continuation of the Let's Play of Doom Eternal. So if you have not seen that, please go ahead and watch that. I apologize in advance the lack of, I guess you could say, commentary and also the lack of interaction with the chat. For some reason, whenever I was looking at my phone, it did not pop up until I clicked on the comment section. Even though it's supposed to be, when it comes to live chat, it's supposed to automatically put. But when I refreshed the video on my phone, it pulled up your chat, and I noticed that you were watching it for a good while. That's why I wasn't saying anything to you because I
Uh,
didn't even notice.
I just figure you're like really into the game, so I was like, all right, all right.
No, I really do enjoy the company whenever it comes to these things. So please, again, go ahead and comment. I will, hopefully, if it doesn't mess up on me, I'll read it and then be talking with y'all while I'm at the same time dying by all these random demons. Next
Awesome.
time it's gonna be probably a little bit of multiplayer, just to show people how the multiplayer is. I might play Doom guy in multiplayer, but I'm mostly main.
All right then. And as for me, so I got a lot on my plate. So I will say this: my evening streams are not going to be daily, just because of my job. So, but I'll try to do them. I'll anytime I'm open in the mornings, I'll definitely do them, of course. And so far, I've actually been having a decent audience there, and just me get the chance to talk about stuff that's not gaming or comics or something like that. Just my other interests. And of course, tomorrow night I will be doing my chill stream, in which by the way, have you ever got a chance to hear what goes on in those streams?
No, not much. Is it?
Oh man, it's always a treat when Ghetto Machine and Smaxo join in. It's always a treat. So far, every stream so far has at least one mention of hentai. At least one.
It sounds like my type of stream.
And that's thanks to Ghetto. But
I'll just put in random nuke codes in there. Ghetto will most likely get them.
probably. So I'll be doing that tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and of course I will be still doing comic reviews and my Hack Cross anime reviews as well. And I'll upload those when I upload them, pretty much. So, with all that said, thank you, Blue, again for joining us, for watching us, and we will see you guys on the next episode of the Hack Check Show. This is Hack. Sign off.